Wow. Welcome back, folks, to the show. This is The Cut. Homecoming night on The Cut.
Homecoming night.
Guy Pom-Pom night right here on The Cut. Letterman jacket night right here on The Cut. Clearly, we were talking Texans in the break. All right, we're back. Look, go check out the blog at HoustonMediaWatch.com. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on Twitter. You've been seeing those handles throughout the show. You will continue to see those handles throughout the show. Wow. Okay. Been heavy Texans talk tonight. We'll continue with that. Do want to touch on some stuff with the Rockets as the Rockets tonight, Wednesday night, that you're seeing this show on. We'll be getting their NBA season kicked off at home versus Charlotte tonight. And then the Rockets get the Mavericks in on Friday night. Saturday, they'll be in Utah, the start of a 3-game series in Utah. And then taking on the Clippers in LA on Monday. And then they'll get Portland on Tuesday. So for me, you look at that first 5 games for the Rockets to start the season. I think the premier matchup is that matchup with Chris Paul and the Clippers.
Oh, of course.
No doubt about that. And we'll try to squeeze some more Rocket stuff in. Folks, don't worry. You're going to get plenty of Rocket talk on this show. No doubt about that. But with it being a bye week for the Texans and being such a critical time in the season, we wanted to dedicate most of the time, obviously, to the Texans. And we've done that, and we'll continue to do so. But we will get more Rockets in because the Rockets did have a interesting dynamic to the final game last Friday of the preseason, when James Harden came up with a knee contusion, and it has some local relevance that I want to the media that I want to get a little bit in before we get out of here tonight. Probably get to that either late in this segment or in the final segment of the show. But right now, back on the Texans, you know, we talk a lot about what's going on the field with the Texans. Obviously, Gary Kubiak gets his share of criticism and second guessing with every decision, and that goes with the territory. But I think when you get to this point and a regime has been in place for a significant amount of time, and you've had enough draft classes that we can really start to kind of understand your philosophy, team philosophy, and your approach. Hopefully we do. If we don't understand your team philosophy and approach, that's a problem if we don't. I'm not knocking the Texans for all of the secrecy and things and how they do things. I believe in letting people do their job. After they do their job, it's our job then to critique it and be fair about it.
Right.
And I also believe it's incumbent upon us to share with the listeners and viewers, whether we be in our TV format here or in the new online radio format.
Creep Radio.
Hashtag Creep Radio. You see it right there on the screen. Whatever the format is we're in, we have an obligation. Anybody can claim, but you know, hey, give a little bit more detailed reasoning behind your complaint.
Right.
If not a recommendation for improvement.
Yes.
Okay, so process number 1, I think it begins now when we get to trying to understand the philosophy and the thinking process that goes into that matrix of people involved in the thought process when the Texans go into draft.
Right.
When the Texans go into free agency, a lot of times free agency is more reactionary because you're reacting to team needs.
Right.
Whereas the draft shows more of a philosophy.
Right.
And I don't know that I'm questioning the Texans' philosophy, but I think I want some answers. And they're not going to give them to me.
I certainly understand why.
So what I want to do now then is start trying to figure out some relevant way to understand, some way to understand the Texans' philosophy to where to provide some level of relevant understanding to me as a fan, and then as a media personality to either debate that or share that with listeners and viewers. So when the Texans release a guy in Sam Montgomery, okay, let's go back to that. And there's all kind of film available on these players. See, I never had a problem with the Texans. People always talked about the Texans don't go after enough edgy players.
Right.
This and that. Folks, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
When they do go after an edgy guy like Daryl Morey did with Ross White, guys that aren't perfect, that have some issues, and it doesn't work out, that's the reason why it's a risk. It's not always going to work out. Now, you needed to work out at a decent enough percentage that validates you going forward with that philosophy.
Yes.
So I don't think we can say, well, Gary Kubiak has failed him and Rick Smith when it comes to
I don't think so.
to going after edgy guys.
Right.
There was every reason to want to take on a guy like Sam Montgomery with his physical attributes and potential. This is a strong. The first time I saw him get on the field for the Texans in a game, I watched this guy take on a blocker, a second blocker come over, offensive lineman come over and chip at him. He posts the guard with his right arm, stands up the tackle with his left arm.
We're talking about 300 pounders here.
So in a
coming
rookie,
at full speed.
But here's where I have a problem with the Texans. I had no problem with the Texans saying we're going to try him at defensive end as opposed to outside linebacker after the fact. In any other situation, that doesn't bother me.
Right.
Here's what bothers me. With all of the film available, when I watched Sam Bradford in a Texans uniform, meaning when I watched him at LSU, I never knew he would be a Texan. So I'm watching 21 guys on the field.
Right.
And he's one I got my eye on, but not watching him with the same eye. But when you put that steel blue on, I see you differently. I can see it clear. I don't know what the Texans saw ever in scouting Sam Montgomery that made the Texans think that Sam Montgomery had the type of foot and hip work and the type of hips
to be a linebacker
that could make him an outside linebacker in a 3-4. Mario was a guy that had, maybe that was something to do with it. Mario does not have great hips, folks. Never did.
Nope.
Doesn't turn well on a dime.
Nope.
And I know all Wade basically does with those guys is asking them, to drop back and get their hands up and play in a soft zone. But he would be more of a challenge than Mario would be.
Right.
And Mario was going to be fine, I thought.
Right.
Sam Montgomery's athleticism, body type, everything about him says
D-line.
D-line.
No doubt.
That's an area where I just question that move. And do I question it more now because he's not even on the roster? Adam Sandler voice, hell yeah! Hell yeah! Yeah, I question that now.
Well, I mean, my question is, and kind of to your point, speaking about philosophy, you're also looking at what you already have. So you're looking at his skill sets.
Well, you got Jerry Crick.
Yeah.
Antonio Smith's your starter. JJ ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. So defensive line isn't your problem. You got a guy who clearly is a defensive line type talent, and your biggest weakness in your entire defense is you need linebackers with range.
But isn't it okay if the Texans say we're drafting Sam Montgomery because we want to create competition with Jerry Crick at defensive end because we're not going to offer Antonio an extension? Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. No. I'm okay with creating competition with two young players, neither one proven.
Do you do that?
And you're gonna lose, but that's not what they did.
Right.
They did it after the fact, and they didn't do it for that reason.
But do you even go there if you're in the third round and you're with a team that, for all intents and purposes, coming to the season?
No, in the third round, you should have drafted the inside linebacker.
Right. Exactly.
That's what
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Opinion.
Why?
And to me,
that doesn't even come up. Like, you know that this is a need that you had to address. It's like in that pecking order, it should have been wide receiver, perhaps a tackle in the second round, and third pick is a damn linebacker.
I have no problem because they got Brendan Williams. They did draft the right tackle, and they drafted one up high enough that they were serious about it. Mm-hmm. Now he got hurt. We'll take that for what it was, for what it is. So, my criticism of the Texans in mismanaging right tackle is not what they did this year. It's what they did in ever determining that Derek Newton was the guy, and that's okay. but it's taking you too long to
recover
realize
from that,
he's not the guy.
Yep.
He's a backup at best.
Yep.
And I don't think he can play guard because I don't think he gets low enough at his size to be. I just don't think. And I don't even be honest with you. I don't see the toughness to play inside.
No.
Derek Newton probably shouldn't be on the NFL roster. Probably.
Yeah.
He's a bad football player.
Yep. Sorry.
He's a bad football player. So we're tearing, ripping, and shredding through the Texas draft. Let's go up a little bit, and I'll tell you what, we're gonna probably have to shut this segment down. Let's go ahead and get up out of here and go to a break. I gotta say it. David Letterman says it. Hell, pay a few bills, and then what we'll do is we'll come back. We'll run through the rest of the Texas draft class.
Okay.
This kind of stuff is kind of cool to do when you get these bye weeks.
Yep.
Move on through that, and then we'll finish the show out on the Rockets. How about that?
Sounds good.
That works for you, works for us. We're the Creeks. We'll be right back.